In this video, you will see me take about 6 different boxes of parts and a new car I just bought. I'll put a picture up right here. And put it all together within 2 days of owning the car. Good morning, Terrell here and Caleb. We are currently possibly picking up a new car for the channel. I will show you in just a moment. It's a 2010 Impreza with no engine. Body looks decent, tires look terrible to be honest. A little walk around. We'll go ahead and negotiate and see what we can do. I believe it's a manual, clean title. Let's see if we walk away with a new car today. Alrighty boys and girls, we picked up the car. Actually I should say we picked up the engine. We bought the car. I'm gonna go back tomorrow morning and get it. I'll record, loading it on the trailer and everything and bringing it home. But it's a 2010 Subaru Impreza. It has 116,000 original miles. I got a short block and all the parts. I just have to put everything together. It's manual, a clean title, got everything's correct. And talked them down a little bit, which is awesome. Anyways, but it has a little tiny rust spot on one fender that I'm gonna try to get fixed before I sell it or whatever, flip it, but I'll just follow along. We're gonna put this thing together and see if we can get it running in one day and one video. Oh yeah, and it has heated seats and a sunroof. That's kind of cool. All right, we just made it home. Currently unloading all the parts. I'll show you what we've got so far. So far we've got wiring harness and coolant crossover stuff, intake manifold, head. We have the radiator, valve covers and everything. And then there's the header. We got flywheel, clutch, oil pan stuff, alternator, AC, I guess a new water pump there, and then the short block there, and I have some gaskets in the truck still. We got the short block here now, oil pan, everything's in the garage. It's just kind of out there, but I don't have much room for it. So, like I said, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go back down there, I'm gonna get the car, bring it here, and I'm gonna assemble this motor and try to make sure everything is perfect. Get it all ready to go, drop it in the car, and hopefully be able to drive this by the end of this video. I'm go ahead and check this block out. See, he said he thought it felt a little bit tight, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can figure out what's tight about it, if it's actually usable, if it's good to go. See if I can get this short block ready. He actually decided to put some of this together for me, so it'll save me some time. And I just found he just had a wrist pin that wasn't all the way in for some reason, so I'm not sure what's going on here. But I'll go ahead and pull this out and then install this correctly and see if this thing spins over freely. All right, I lined her up. And I don't know if you can see this super well, but got the wrist pin in and the end clip in. So now I'm gonna work on this last piston and I think it's all done, and then I'll spin over by hand and make sure everything feels smooth and good. And after some nice talk, I got that one in as well. So number 1 is in, or sorry, 2. We're gonna spin this thing over and see how she spins now. Tell me what you think. She seems pretty good, huh? I'm excited actually. Somebody else built this, but I'm just gonna give him my trust, and hopefully this thing's good, but it spins over freely. Just before I was gonna put these back pins on and stuff for these piston pin holes, I was like, let me just double check just to make sure he put all the wrist pin clips in. I am so happy that I did that, because look at this one. I'm sorry if you can't see this very well, but there's no wrist pin clip there. I gotta put one in, and then I can seal these up. I guess you just kind of can't trust anybody for little things like that. You gotta double check every single thing. I just installed this bottom coolant passage plug, this one, and then the wrist pin cover here, and then the back one right there. And then I'm working the oil pan currently, gonna get this cleaned off, get the baffle, the pickup on, as long as the pickup looks good. Oil filter, and then of course you got motor mount there and motor mount there. I'll just show you when this is all done. Look at that oil pan. It is not perfect, but it is getting there. She is just about ready to slap an oil pan on. Got this head nice and cleaned up. Next I'm gonna do the other head, and then this back plate right there, and then the oil pump sealing surface. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and clean this oil pan. You can see the before, how she looks. I cleaned the inside already, all the metal debris that was in there, but all this stuff I'm gonna remove. She ain't quite perfect, but she's getting there. Got it nice and shined up a bit more. All the silicone off, except for a couple of these small little grooves, but I'm gonna get all that off. And then seal it up after I put the oil baffle on right there, and then the pickup. Alrighty, just picked up the car. It's on the back of the truck now. We're gonna bring it home and unload it. I got a little clip in here with pushing it on, and now we'll get it off at the house, and then I'll start putting this motor together and see how long it takes me to put this all together, get it in the car, hopefully get it running.
What? Why does that seem?
Gotta put the motor in, hoping to do that tonight, but at least a little outside view before I wash it and move it in the driveway. All right, just got some brake clean, sprayed this off, got everything out of it. Got a new O-ring on here. I'm gonna go ahead and install this, install the baffle, and then get the oil pan lubed up and install that on the block. Oil pan is all sealed up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install it on the block. All right, I just moved her onto the stand. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to the side. Probably start with this head gasket or that one. I'm gonna get some copper spray. I wanna make sure these things seal, and this stuff is pretty good, so I'm gonna spray this on both sides. Alrighty, got this on top of here, got it nice and dried. I'm gonna go ahead and install the head, all the head bolts, and then torque this down. Alright, I just torqued this head down. You do the middle 2 to 25 foot-pounds, the sides to 11, and the 80 to 90 degrees around twice in a star pattern. So that's done. Now I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and then put valve cover on. Put the valve cover on, I got the valve cover gasket on there. I just realized that the car didn't come with valve cover bolts. Left them there, or they were thrown away or something, so moving on to there. Alrighty, I got the oil pump on. I got this idler on. I actually found some valve cover bolts in another engine I had in the backyard, so now I have all 6 valve cover bolts here and all 6 valve cover bolts here. So next I'm gonna put the water pump on, and then I have a line that comes from the water pump up across and up to the engine, and then I'm gonna bolt the coolant crossover down, and then I should be able to work on the intake next. Alrighty, getting the water pump on this engine. It's a brand new Aisin water pump. I just got the crossover pipe tight, and then I swapped this from a different motor I had on. So now we have that coolant pipe. I'm gonna go ahead and install the water pump, and then I'm gonna pull the other motor apart. Oh, I just went ahead and threw the headers on with gaskets. So next step, I'm gonna throw the intake on, and then we're gonna work on timing it tonight. Let's get this thing to be complete, and then maybe throw it in the car in the morning. This is how the harness, I've just set it on top of here, but this is how the harness currently looks. He took it all apart, so I'm gonna have to put it all back together. I'll show you in probably 5 minutes when it's... All right, a little update tonight. I got pretty much everything on wiring harness wise. I swapped this from another engine over, this little sensor. I've got this piece swapped over. Got the AC bracket right here on. All the sensors are plugged in on top. The only thing I'm missing on the bottom here is these two right here. I'm not quite sure where they go to yet. I gotta figure that out. And then over here, I think these are just... This is a video I have not shown on this channel yet. I'm gonna show you how to time an SOHC motor. Single overhead cam, if you don't know what that means. So you need to make sure your cranks is at top dead center. And you're gonna put your time belt on, make sure it's pointing that way. Okay. We'll put the dots on that timing mark, just like that. We're gonna go over to this side. Make sure we have the 1 mark up and put the time belt right on that. Then you're gonna wrap around. And I always put on single overhead cam engines, you put the timing tensioner in afterwards. It just seems to usually be easier. So, okay. So I always put this on without the tensioner. Sorry, I had to do this off camera for a second. I didn't want to be super long video, but got that mark on, I have the middle mark on, I have this mark on, and then I put the tensioner in, and sometimes it's a struggle. So I'm gonna get this on off camera, but once that's in, then you're timed. Okay, it took me a minute there to get it, unfortunately, but marks on there, marks on there, marks on there, and everything is looking smooth through here. Go ahead and pull the grenade pin out. And then I always like to pre-tension this just a little bit, just kind of pull like that, okay? And then we need to put the 2 bolts here for the guide, and then the timing covers, and timing's done. Oh, good news, the little plugins I showed you, I found 2 on the other side as well, and I got to thinking, what else is unplugged there? It has to be the injectors, so I checked, and it was the injectors. So they're plugged in now, And then I got the O2 sensors both plugged in, so all the sensors are plugged in on this motor now. And then I got the timing covers all on, and the crank pulley on and nice and tight. So tomorrow I'll have to get intake manifold. All right, good morning. Working on this sedan Impreza still. I got intake manifold bolts this morning, so the intake manifold is tight now. And then I'm working on just tightening up these injector covers on the sides here. They're just a couple 12s. I'm just gonna tighten the tops. And then I'm gonna go ahead and lift this motor up and put the back plate on, clutch flywheel pressure plate, and then I should be able to drop this motor in today. That was easier, okay. Get the flywheel on this thing. Alrighty, look at that centering, gorgeous. Ready to go ahead and put this engine in this car. I just dropped her down. She's in the motor mounts now. Got fuel lines on, and then brake master or brake booster on. Got to put one clamp on this line before I put it on the car, and then put the AC compressor on. Power steering pump is right there. I'll go and put it on in a minute, and then alternator, and then both belts. And on the bottom just has the exhaust and the two motor mounts. Got a sensor right there, and then hopefully next little thing I'll show you. This will all be done and just about running. All right, she's looking more complete now. Got the belts on, motor mounts tight, exhaust tight, wiring and everything done. Got the clamp back there on. Gotta still get this power or this ground wire on the transmission for the battery. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get a new thermostat. Need to get a new hose for the top of the radiator, and then oil and coolant. I think I'm about there. I had to get a couple parts. I got the oil filter. Go ahead and install this on the engine real quick. Got a new thermostat gasket. I'm gonna go ahead and install the housing. All right, radiator is in, lower hose is on. I realized that he didn't give me any of the stays, so I'm gonna have to figure out zip ties or something for now. But I'm gonna go ahead and install this upper hose. Just about the last step is gonna be putting the air intake on this car. So I'll go ahead and time lapse that. And then I'm gonna crank it without the oil pressure, without the crankshaft sensor in, to build some oil pressure. And then I'll plug it back in and we'll start it. All right, here we go. All that tapping we could hear is just lifter knock or lifter tap. I can hear it in the passenger side head, so I'm gonna go ahead and do an adjustment on the lifters. I would imagine with them being so loud, they're just a little bit loose, so I gotta tighten them up a little bit, and that sound should be gone. I'm gonna go ahead and take it for a small drive just to make sure it sounds okay. Yeah. Got some oil pressure now, and it's actually a lot quieter. I got a check engine light I'll have to check out, but he's running smooth. Got some heat coming in, and I'm excited. I think this is my problem. Watch these rods and these pistons. Nice and easy. Watch this one. I think that's my problem. There's a lot of resistance there. All right, so I actually ended up going through this entire motor. I pulled it out, pulled it apart, and I found one of the rods on top was tight inside of the wrist pin area. So I replaced that, just put new lower bearings in, mains and rod bearings, and then put everything else back together, made sure all the head stuff was in clearance. One I actually did miss as far as valve clearance. She's all back together. I need a serpentine belt. The other one broke. Otherwise, she's back together. I'm gonna go ahead and start in just a moment here. There's her first start officially on this rebuild. Listen to that thing purr. Wow. Finally, had to be that rod on the top. I'll put a clip in this video of how that sounded. Gorgeous. I'm so happy now.